First of all, I'm really honored to contribute to the VLab community as the new TSO, and I really want to continue the excellent work of our colleague Martial, who, as Zemzem said, has done a great job as the previous TSO. So I'm really, really happy to have this opportunity and engage with the community. And in this presentation, we are going to revisit the VLab training calendar. As you see, although it's a very powerful tool, it is still a bit underused by the community. So the goal of this session is to encourage colleagues who are not yet using the calendar to start doing so, so that we can all make the most of it. And I would like also to thank our colleagues, Madalena, Mark Higgins, Lucas, and Soya, for their support in putting this presentation together. So we'll start with the basics, what the VLab training calendar is, what happens when trainings are uploaded, which colleagues from our COEs can add events, and how to add an event to the calendar. And then we will move on to a live demonstration showing how to subscribe to the calendar using our own email clients or calendar clients. So our personal clients stay updated with training sessions for our regions. And we will also look how to filter the calendar information. And if you use Google Calendar, I really encourage you to follow along with me. And after that, we'll review some statistics from recent years to give a bit of an overview of current usage. And finally, we will wrap up the discussion discussing a few other ways to promote our training events. Okay? Okay, satellite training calendars. Here we have a few examples. And as you can see, there are several training calendars that bring together events from us, the training providers within our community. And these calendars make it easier for the public to find and access training opportunities offered by VLab members. And one of the nice things about these calendars is that uploaded events are shared via so-called APIs or application programming interface, which makes them compatible, as we are going to see, across different calendar platforms and implementations. For example, this is our VLab training calendar, right? Kindly developed by UMETSAT. And this calendar serves as our backend or our central hub. And it's really nice, as Mark Higgins says, you put an event into the calendar and then it travels, right? So let's actually see this in action through this example here. The regional focus group in the Americas and the Caribbean, which takes place virtually every month, and it is organized in collaboration between COEs in the Americas. And Jose Galvez, who is here with us today, he does a great job leading these regional focus group sessions. And this is the March session, which was held last week. And a couple of weeks ago, our colleagues from CIRA added this event into the VLab training calendar. And all VLab partners that retrieve information from the VLab training calendar automatically display these VLab events in their own calendar interfaces, which is great because it helps us reach a much, much broader audience. And here, for example, these regional focus group session was also listed under the WMO Global Campus automatically, which is really nice. So we have this integration between different calendars. And as we had a question during our Eastern group meeting yesterday, it's important to clarify that there is no need to submit an event to both the VLab training calendar and WMO Global Campus calendar, as events added to the VLab training calendar will appear in the Global Campus, and events submitted via the Global Campus using the satellite tag will automatically appear in the VLab training calendar as well. So there's no need to submitting the same event twice, which is nice. Okay, so all VLab partners that retrieve information from the calendar will display these events automatically. And the same happens on the EOTech DevNet training events webpage, where events from the VLab training calendar are also automatically shown. And I know all of you are familiar with EOTech DevNet. Erin and our colleagues, they do a great job, and their calendar, in their calendar, you can find events from many providers across the Earth observation community, including VLab. And here's another example from CEOS, the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites, which also maintains its own training calendar. And there you can find trainings from CEOS members, including, for example, members of the Group on Earth Observations and other organizations. So it's a bit more agency driven compared to the other calendars. And the regional focus group session was also listed there. And here's another example of our VLab event traveling across the web, this time on eocollege.org, which is more focused on online learning, and it's another really nice resource. And as you can see here, our VLab colleagues from CIRA, they added the event just once to the VLab training calendar, and it is then automatically displayed in many different places thanks to these API-based integration provided by UMETSAT. And as we are going to see, you can also do the same by integrating the calendar into your own web pages. And all of this is really nice, but it is only useful, and the VLab calendar is only a powerful feature if VLab partners actually actively add their trainings to the calendar. And as we will see in the statistics, there's still some room to improve its usage. And if you want to improve its usage, the first step is knowing who can actually add events to the VLab calendar. And here we have an updated list exported from the calendar admin interface. And this table is organized by country: Argentina, Australia, Barbados, China, etc. And all of these contacts have accounts that are able to add events to the calendar. And from a preliminary look, we were able to spot some contacts that may need to be updated, and also some COEs that needed to nominate a point of contact to be included. And during our Eastern group meeting yesterday, our VLab colleagues from China, Indonesia, and Japan already provided updates on contacts to be added or revised as VLab creators, as we can see here. Luren from RTC Nanjing, Annie from BNKG, Kafid from BNKG, and Kazuki Yasui from JMA. So these have been updated since our meeting yesterday. And we are really happy to see that since our meeting, colleagues have already started testing the calendar and adding events such as this example from China, which is currently under review. So this is one of the actions we'd like to propose today, as we will be sharing these slides with you after the meeting, that each COE kindly review this list and let us know if you have any updates, or if any updates are needed, or if a VLab creator, as we call them, should be added to represent your centers of excellence. And here I would like to ask a quick question to make this presentation a bit more interactive. And please feel free to answer via microphone or in the chat. When was the last time your COE added an event to the VLab training calendar? Do you happen to know that, or do you frequently add events to the calendar? Vesa, go ahead.
Yeah, Diego, I can't help raising my hand the first. We added yesterday, but yeah, we use it a lot. But I must say that completely agree with you. It's a great tool. We also have just recently updated the African COE page that we run together, asmed.africa. I will put later on the chat the link to the event page. So we just look for the events that we have added with the tag RA1 area. So those events will then show up on the list. So there will be
Great.
no uninteresting events to be shown. So it's I think this is a really and also quite customizable tool in the way that we run the weather briefings, for example. They are of course shown there, but after the weather briefing we can put the link, use the available fields in the actual form to add the link to the slides or to the recording of the. So it's just picking up the data from these API things. They are really great. Thanks.
Great.
Back to you.
Thanks, Vesa. Brock is also saying that NASA RSAT adds at least one training to the VLab calendar per month, and we will see that, Brock, in when we review these statistics. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. So for those who aren't familiar with how to add an event, let's quickly go through the process. And as you see, it's actually
Jose has
oh,
also his
Jose,
hands up.
Jose,
Yeah,
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead, Jose. Sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt. I have a quick question. If you wanted to be added as a person that can generate a calendar entry, how do you do that? Via you or?
Yes, just mail me, Zoya and I, and we can coordinate that with Madalena, and and we can add you as a VLab creator as well.
Sounds great. Yeah, I should be back at Sierra at the end of April, so I'll chat with Erin and we'll take care of that.
Great. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jose. Thank you. And let's just quickly review the process on how to add an event for those who are not
Diego,
familiar
and now
yet.
Ibrahim from Muscat COE
sorry.
also.
Yes, thank you, Diego. Thank you, Zoya.
Hi, Ibrahim.
I didn't. Hi, Diego. I didn't want to interrupt, but yes, we had our last event, which was satellite application course. That was 8 to 12 February. But we want to add also the monthly forum events. And my question is, can I go back and add the monthly forums for January, February, and the last one for March in the same calendar? I think yes.
I think I can respond from my historical experience. So yes, you can. It will be visible as a historical event. It's more like for historical purposes, for statistics, but of course it will of no use for in terms of the real purpose of the training calendar, because it's advertising the upcoming events. So in order to keep kind of history, I guess yes, but in terms of the real purpose of the calendar invite, I guess maybe not. But I'm not sure. Vesa may have better feedback in terms from UMISAT perspective, but that's my impression. At least I did approve a couple of kind of historical events recent, a couple of months ago or a year ago. So I do remember those instances.
Yeah.
I
So
think
the
it's a good
response is
idea.
yes. It's still valid. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's a good idea to add historical events there as well. As I will say later, we are planning to use this information for our regional planning. So having these historical events on our statistics, it will be really useful. But we can discuss that further. Yes.
At least I have added. I think I have added some historic event one, and it wasn't a problem. It's just a matter of adding. I think it's very immune. I mean, how do you say neutral to the dates. It's just about then somebody needs to approve. When for example I add an event, we have a couple of approvers at UMETSAT who will then check the event, and then it will go out. And I don't think the date mean much of a role there.
Great. Thanks, Vesa. Romina?
Thank you, Diego. I think I know the answer, but these are events, training events that start and finish. These are not like
Asynchronous. Yeah.
training resources that maybe that we develop and we have. It's like is an it's an event that has a start and finish date.
That's a good question. And Brock from Masar said make the very same question a couple of days ago, if it is possible to add asynchronous events there. And if that is possible, how, users would visualize that, considering that this is a permanent event. So that is something we need to discuss with UMedSat, how to, as far as I understand, it's not implemented yet because after the starting date, the event will not be accessible via the API, for example. But as these asynchronous events available in our Moodle platforms, for example, they are permanent events. We need to discuss how to deal with these events in the calendar. I wonder if Vesa has any additional comments about it.
I don't really know, but for me, the word training event already stands for something that has a beginning and an end. When you go to the training calendar, for example, now and check what's there, for example, in our calendar, I'm seeing that on the top there has been now for 2 years an event that is actually a training course for meteorological technicians in COE Kenya. And so that one actually, it stays there on the top until it finally ends. And so everything that happens between, they are below it. So there's a little bit of tweaking might be needed still to sort of highlight the events. And then there are these longer events that may sort of occupy the top row for a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Romina and Vesa. Any other comments or questions? Okay, and once you have a VLab creator account, you will see a yellow button in the upper right corner of the interface, like this one here. I'm logged in as Diego, and there I am seeing this button called Add Event. And when you click it, it opens the Add Event interface, and it's pretty straightforward. You enter the event title, which will be displayed like this and highlighted across all community calendars, as we've seen. We need to add a description, the country, or indicate if it is an online event, the dates and times, the application instructions, or a link explaining how to apply, like in this case from Sira. The event type, whether if it is a discussion, a course, workshop, or conference, the language or languages, like in this case, the relevant qualification frameworks, and whether registration is open or by invitation only. And it is also possible to specify the target audience, the expected learning outcomes, the contact person, our colleague Erin Sanders from Sira in this case, and the region or regions. In this example, the region is WMO Regional Association 3 and 4, since this is a regional focus group for the Americas, right? And here we have the full submission by Sira, including everything we have seen. And here we have a couple of comments. First, as raised during yesterday's Eastern Group meeting, there is a parameter called by invitation, where COEs can indicate whether an event is open or invitation only. And one of the questions yesterday was, should COEs add events to the training calendar if they are by invitation only? And the answer is yes. COEs are encouraged to share invitation-only events as well, as this information is important for statistics, for example, as you're going to see. As in the future, we are planning to use information retrieved from the calendar for planning regional activities as well. And a second comment is another important field called initiative, where VLab members can list contributors and collaborations. For example, this regional focus group is organized in collaboration with COEs from Costa Rica, Brazil, Argentina, and Barbados, and NOAA itself. So this is nice to have, as this information is very useful for reporting and statistics. And when VLab admins review submissions, this is often one of the fields that event creators forget to fill in. And speaking of reviewing submissions, when a VLab creator adds a new event, Zoya and I, as the current VLab admins for the training calendar, we get notified via email. And the event only becomes visible on the calendar once we've completed the review and we approve the event. Okay, and that's where we have the opportunity to check for these little details as the list of contributors. And as Vesa mentioned, the API from UMETSAT allows each partner in the network to customize how events appear in their own calendars. For example, this is the training calendar as configured by UMETRAIN. And they have filtered it to show only events for Regional Association 6, for example, or Europe in this case. On the other hand, on the ASMAT webpage, mentioned by Vesa, only trainings for Regional Association 1 are displayed. And this could be a bit misleading if you're not familiar how it works, because events from other countries like India and Argentina are also being shown. However, we are actually referring to the target region for that specific training, not the region of the organization hosting it. So this example training from Argentina listed in ASMAT, as it is an online course and it is open to participants from any regional association, that is why it is listed there. So the calendar shows trainings, in this case, targeting African countries, not just those hosted in Africa. So it's really just a matter of how the information is filtered. And another example is the UMETSAT user portal, which also pulls information from the calendar. And in this case, it is filtering events that target RA1 and RA6. So the calendar is really flexible and configurable, as we were going to see. And if you'd like to integrate a customized version of the calendar into your own web pages, just let us know. You can email me and we can discuss how to set it up. As mentioned, there is an API available, but some technical capacity is needed. And here in Brazil, for example, we are building a new web page to promote our VLab events, and embedding the training calendar is part of the plan. And it's really nice because I've shared this link here with live event data. I've shared this link with our IT staff, and they were able to add the training calendar to this test web page, which is really nice. So in the future, we will be able to share our experience and exchange tips on how we implemented it as the process is being documented for your reference. Okay, so now I'd like to do a quick demonstration because another really nice feature of this calendar ecosystem is the ability to subscribe to the VLab calendar using our personal client softwares. You can, as we are going to see, you can filter the subscription to show only events for your region. So you get notifications for the trainings that are most relevant to you. And for this demo, I will use Thunderbird, which is the email client I use. And I will also show you how to do the same using Google Calendar. In Thunderbird, and this is Thunderbird software, you find the calendar icon on the left pane. And when you click it, there's an option called New Calendar, which lets you to subscribe to a calendar available on the internet, like the VLab training calendar. And you is the standard subscription link the calendar. And in Thunderbird, you just need to add this link here, location, and select this location doesn't require credentials, and then simply click Find Calendars. And once the calendar is found, you can configure it according to your preferences. For example, you can name it simply UMETSA training calendar, assign a color, and set to refresh every X minutes. In this example, it's set to refresh every 30 minutes. So it stays up to date whenever a new event is added by the VLab creator. But you could also choose to refresh it daily, for example. If needed, also my client, in this case Thunderbird, will notify me whenever an event is coming up. And after this configuration, all you need to do is click subscribe. And that's it. All the events from the VLab training calendar will now appear in your personal calendar client. But this is just an example, and each calendar tool might have a slightly different procedure, but the steps should be very similar. Okay. And it's also very easy to hide the calendar from your client. In Thunderbird, for example, you just need to click this eye icon, and it's also easy to unsubscribe. And Thunderbird, you just need to select the unsubscribe calendar option. But as you can see here, there are a lot of events being listed. And if we subscribe to everything using the standard link, our calendars could get a bit crowded. But unfortunately, there's a way to filter this information so you only see the events targeting your region. Okay. Let's take a look at how to do this. So basically, we need to create a filter. And to create a filter, you need to edit the original calendar link and add to the link specific attributes after it. And you can filter events by language, by dates, by region, and so on. For example, if we want to filter only the events targeting Africa, and this is just an example, we simply add a filter tag to the original link, followed by the parameters we want to filter, like regions in this case. Filter equal to regions dot value equal to one Africa between single quotation marks. I know it's a bit tricky to remember, but we will share these slides with you for your reference. And then you use this modified link when subscribing to the calendar. The procedure is the same as before, but using this new link. So this way, the calendar will retrieve only the events for Africa. And whenever a new event targeting Africa is added, your calendar client will be updated automatically. And here, I've changed the calendar name to RA1 and subscribe it. And this is what you see. Only the events targeting Regional Association 1. Okay, and we can use any combination of parameters we want. For example, you could subscribe only to events added by UMETSAT or UMETRAIN or any COE. In this example, English or Spanish only for Europe or any other region. Any kind of combination is possible. And I won't go through every parameter in the link right now, but again, since we will share this presentation with you, you can use it as a reference. And if you need any support filtering your subscription, you just send me an email and I'll be happy to help. Okay. And you can use, for example, this long link to filter the calendar and just click Find Calendars, and only trainings added by these specific providers and these languages targeting this specific region will appear in your calendar client. So it is relatively simple, and it is a very nice and easy to use tool. Now let me do a live demonstration with Thunderbird. This is the software, and here you have calendar, new calendar here on the lower left, and this is a calendar on the network, and you just need to add the link. And in this case, I will add the link for filtered already for Africa here. Find calendars, the calendar will be found, and you can change its name, for example, trainings for Africa. Select a color and subscribe. And you see in your client calendar only the events for that particular region. Okay, so it's really easy. And another detail is that some calendar clients like Google Calendar that most of you use, some tools require the link to be properly encoded. And by encoded, it means that if we use the link here as it is, as we have used it with Thunderbird, it won't work because it needs to be encoded. And by encoded, I mean that special characters in the link are converted into a format that these applications can understand. So, for example, this space here between one and Africa is not understood well by some tools, including Google Calendar. So instead of using a space, you can use %20, which is the standard code for space. This is tricky, but fortunately, we have web pages that can do these encoding automatically for us, such as this example here, encodeurl.org. And you just need to paste the original link, regardless of the filtering combination, select the option to preserve the original URL structure, and it will generate the properly encoded link for you. And that's the link you should use when subscribing to the calendar. And on Google Calendar, to subscribe for the VLab training calendar, and you can try it now while I'm doing this demonstration, you just need to click on the plus button for adding other calendars here, select from URL, paste the encoded link and select add calendar, and the calendar will be created as your subscription will be ready. And I'm going to send the link here in the chat box so you can try it with me. And after you add it to your Google Calendar, you have all the trainings targeting that particular region listed. And when you click on the event, you can see the full description by the VLab creator. Okay. And by clicking at the three dots next to your calendar, you can configure it as needed, changing the name, colors, and so on. So it's even easier than the Thunderbird example. So let me quickly subscribe to the trainings for Africa using my Google Calendar. This is my Google Calendar. I have hidden my personal events here. There is a plus button. You just need to select from URL, paste the encoded link, the standard link, but filtered with any filter combination you need, and click Add Calendar. And the calendar will be created. Here, we have the events targeting Africa in this case, and you can click the three dots, settings, and change its name to anything you want, trainings for Africa. And you can also easily unsubscribe to this online calendar if you want. And here you have trainings for Africa. You can hide it or visualize it. So it's a very easy to use, and you can easily filter as you need. All of this is very nice, and the calendar is a very powerful tool, but it will only be useful if we, or if our community, add our training events to the VLab calendar. Here we have some statistics, and these are the submissions from the past 2 years based only on events approved by the VLab admins, which is the information Zoya and I have access to. And here we have some of these or all of the submissions approved by the VLab admins. We have the Australia COE, who added 9 regional focus group training events over the past 2 years. And Indonesia conducts events on an alternating basis with the Australia COE as well. We have the Oman COE, as Abraham said, they advertised their satellite application courses, as well as the monthly weather and climate forums. The South Africa COE advertised the African weather online briefing 4 times in this period, and our colleagues from CIRA reported their regional focus group every month. So we have approximately 24 submissions over the past 2 years, and the most active VLab partner under the VLab group, as we are going to explain, it's NASA RSAT, and thank you very much, Brock. And they submitted 31 events over the past 2 years. So in summary, most VLab members primarily promote their regional focus groups and monthly weather briefings through the VLab training calendar. And however, when compared to the quarterly reports from our VLMG calls, many events are not being added to the calendar. So we really encourage broader use of the calendar to advertise our general trainings as well, so the community can fully benefit from these resource. But the information from the previous slide was based only on the events approved by the lab admins, which is the data Zoya and I have access to. But it's also important to clarify that calendar users belongs to 4 groups: UMETSAT, VLab, WMO, and partners. And only submissions from the VLab group require approval by the VLab admins. So the numbers on the previous slide reflect only events added by this VLab group, not the total number of events added to the calendar by UMETSAT or other partners, for example. So if we consider the statistics extracted from the training calendar database, which was kindly shared by UMETSAT, we get a broader picture, including all these 4 groups. And here in this table, we have the training events from the past 5 years, grouped by the partners who actually submitted the events to the calendar, okay? Not the host, but the organization who entered it. And as we can see here, UMETSAT has more than 300 submissions, and this high number reflects contributions from UMETSAT colleagues who, like Vesa, for example, who enters events, global events in collaboration with VLab COEs, as UMETSAT often submits events on behalf of VLab members when trainings are jointly held. So some of these 300 submissions include events conducted jointly with other COEs, like African COEs, for example. But if we look at inputs from COEs specifically, the total over the past 5 years shows that the calendar has been somewhat underutilized by many COEs. For instance, Brazil has only 2 submissions during this period, and we organized many training events over the past 5 years. So this is totally my fault, as I am the responsible for adding events for Brazil, but we will change that. So as a recommendation, we strongly encourage VLab members to submit our trainings more frequently so the community can get the most out of the calendar. Okay, and to wrap up this presentation, it's interesting to look at other ways our community advertise training events, as many of us, as reported in our survey, we maintain our own web pages where members can find information about upcoming events. And for example, this is an example from CIRA, where they publish their regional focus group of the Americas directly on their web page as well. And participants can access it from there. Also, some VLab colleagues also use group mailing lists. For example, CIRA announces their regional focus group to registered users through their Google group mailing list. And also Some WMO initiatives also use mailing lists to advertise events. So this is another effective strategy for reaching the community. And this is another example here from COE Brazil. Um, as many of you, we use a Moodle interface for all our training activities. And here we have almost 3,000 registered users. And Moodle administrators can send messages to all users, or we can even download their email addresses and use their emails as a mailing list. And from our experience, this has been very, very, very effective. As over the past years, we typically receive more than 500 registrations per course. And it is very nice. Of course, we need to filter these registrations as it's not feasible to facilitate interactions and evaluate this large number of participants. But in terms of promoting our activities, this approach has proven extremely successful. And if there are any strategies you would like to share with the team, or if you have a dedicated web page to promote your training events, you may share the link in the chat as well. And we also have the training calendar embedded on the VLab webpage, but for some reason they are currently not operational, and we are investigating this issue and looking into possible solutions. And that is all. As we have seen, the calendar is a very powerful tool. There are many possibilities, and we can easily add events. We can import a customized version into our own personal calendar clients. But based on recent statistics, there's still plenty of room for improvement, and we strongly encourage you to use or promote your training events through the calendar. And if you'd like to update the point of contact from your COE as a VLab creator, or if you need any help using the API or creating a filter for your subscription, please send me an email and I'll be very happy to assist you. Okay? Thank you very much. You have any questions or comments?